Right, hello, people. Welcome to welcome to the stream. And today we're going to be watching the TSW2 roadmap video live. So I'm going to have subtitles on at the bottom. And if there's anything I want to talk about, I'll pause it and then play it. When I'm not talking, I'll go quiet and explain. I'm going to put on subtitles as well, just in case like anybody wants to read that for whatever reason. If you don't want to read it, it's there, but just ignore it. So let's get going on the video. Let me share the audio so you can hear. Okay, right. Perfect. Right. Let's get going on the video. Not that one, this video. Watching this. Any questions that you may want me to ask at any point? That you may want me to ask them at any point in the stream. Just feel free to drop it in my chat, and I will ask them for you. Yeah, let me just announce the thing in my Discord server.
First one to clean their teeth. Yeah.
All right. Let me just turn it up a bit. Why was I putting an apostrophe? I'm an idiot. Alright, so we've got 2 minutes to wait, and then... Alright, so we've got 2 minutes to wait. They need some like background music on this, because it's not a problem with the stream. Before anyone asks, they're not playing any sound at the minute. Alright, here we go. What does that go? Alright. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and here we go.
Good evening, folks. Welcome aboard for a bit of roadmap action. I'm here with Adam. Hello, Adam.
Hey, good evening.
Adam, who heads up the preserved collection crew, the preservation crew.
Preservation crew.
As is always the case, we're going to start off with what's going on right now, and then we'll move to today's topic for discussion, which is going to be what just happened. There you go. That's as good a summary as anything. What just happened is going to be our topic for today. But for those of you who haven't seen today's roadmap, don't bother. It's the same as the last one, with fewer things on it because we put some stuff out. And several people have said, why are you even putting out a roadmap if nothing's moved on it? For the same reason as you do a weather forecast every day, even if the weather hasn't changed. Just because the weather hasn't changed doesn't mean you don't do the forecast. The roadmap turns up predictably every 2 weeks, and even if nothing's changed, it is your means of seeing what's coming in the future and what we're actively working on at the moment. If that doesn't change sometimes, it doesn't change sometimes. I think this is the first time it hasn't changed at all. I think we've always had at least one thing going on. But anyway, Adam, what are you working on right now?
So we are finishing up our work on West Somerset and Bakerloo. It has gone on a little bit longer than originally planned, but that's really come together nicely. And in fact, our audio guy, Martin, is still working on the main specifier audio, the improvements to the audio on the locos. He helped out with some other projects where he got a great bit of learn on with setup of features, and some audio training, and he is now bringing that back to main specifier. So he's trailing a little bit behind, but we're hoping to be all back together come the beginning of June.
So what are the changes that should be expected on those routes? What are you
putting together?
Well, surprisingly enough, Bakerloo obviously was rather light on feedback compared to previous routes we've been working on, being one of the launch Train Sim World 2 routes. However, we have managed to, I think I mentioned previously, we've sorted out the speed limits so that they now trigger from the front of the train. We've realigned the stopping positions at stations so they're a lot more consistent, because that is one of the key parts of the London Underground route, is that stopping at stations. And one that wasn't in, actually, it came in with the LGV route, was how the platforms are wet under rainy conditions. So I think previously there is just a kind of a blanket wetness or snow across platforms, right. And in LGV, they came out with a much better technique of doing it, where it was a lot more based on the shape of the station, the shape of the canopies and stuff. So we've been trying to bring that technology in. It's been a bit harder than we thought it would be, but yeah, it is adding some great life to the weather on the route.
What's the challenge then? What makes it complicated to implement?
It's not one of those things where you can just add it on top of the station or the texturing that's already there. It actually does need to almost be taken into account when the original authors create the station and do the mapping of the platforms. So we have had to go to a few places where we've redone the textures in terms of the way they're mapped out, rather than, say, make them higher resolution or something, or change the color. But it means that now, I think we decided originally we weren't going to put snow on Bakerloo because there was fear about snow being in the tunnels, or a snow-covered train going down into the tunnels and it looking really weird, because obviously it would melt. The tunnels on the underground are very hot. But this should allow us to bring it back, bring things like winter and snow back to Bakerloo, where I think we didn't have it first. So yeah, we're trying to bring that. So even though Bakerloo is actually in a really good state feature-wise compared to what we have been doing with older routes, we're still finding ways of bringing these routes up and making sure everything we do not only implement some of the feedback that people are giving us, but also try to bring something new every time. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Okay, cool. What else have you got on your hot topic list at the moment? So main spec up, you finished the work on that a little while ago. That's currently in the test cycle, right?
Not yet, no. We have delayed it because we want to, following recent events, we want to go back and double check that everything is where we expect it to be. So we're already implementing some lessons learned and making sure it is another German route. It is a route that everybody is very passionate about. We don't want to repeat issues. So yeah, we're not.
You're spoilerizing the rest of the show. Yeah, let's talk about
that's
that.
on the bingo card, isn't it? Adam announced.
No. It's. I mean, the question is more about how far along are we talking?
Do you know what? The recent releases shows that I can say the work is done from the dev perspective, but it can still be months away. We still haven't really sorted out the release process against the main routes and releases. So it's somewhat pointless me saying how close it is. But we don't expect to be working on that for much longer at all. So we are bringing it to a close from our perspective, and then working on feedback and the likes of QA and the beta forum finding issues for us.
Okay. Now, I mean, the big topics that people always like to hear about is how the new stuff is coming along. So, in close proximity to one another, we have Glasgow Cathcart Circle. We've got Clinchfield, and then we've got the 313.
Clinchfield.
Cane Creek. Sorry, I've got Clinchfield on the brain. I was playing it earlier.
Well, you're in the right region of the world, that's for sure.
That doesn't count. No. I've just had the wrong one in my head. Cane Creek and Cathcart Circle and the 313 are all fairly close together. According to the Magic 8 Ball that Mike used earlier on today, Cathcart Circle is likely to be first to arrive, and then Cane Creek might well be the second to arrive. We'll keep you appraised of the running order when things get a bit closer. But you should expect to start to see articles appearing on these soonish.
I've been very impressed with Cane Creek. Really impressed. Sky have a lot of history with working. I've worked with them on a number of occasions. So I actually worked with them on the Semmeringbahn route, where they did the awesome mountains that route passes up through. Also, I was lucky enough to work on Soldier Summit, and again they did the really tight creeks there. So. I've always been impressed with their ability to bring rocky outcrops and that parts of,
based on the screenshots they've shown so far, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Nice.
Looking forward to seeing how that turns out. So that's in the stuff to look forward to. All the rush hour routes, they're obviously the early production work's going on those now. They're trotting along. But this is why you're not going to see additional routes, locos, that kind of thing added for some time to come, because there is going to be a lot of focus placed on the rush hour release for the summer. Exactly when in the summer, take a swing at it based on when we've released our big summer update in previous years. And you won't be far adrift of where we're aiming for. But these things move around. So, until we give you an actual date, don't hang too much based date on it. There you go. That's pretty solid. Yeah, August. There you go. Noni says August. August is a fair guess. Couldn't give you any more accurate than that for the time being. So so that's the update on those. We're not going to cover any more information about them because that's not what we're here to talk about. There are plenty of other streams where we try and get you excited about stuff that is still in this one, though. We talk about development work that is ongoing, where the intention is to make the game better, fundamentally better, with an optimistic thumbs up from Adam. And we had two releases last week. We had the major update. Adam, you could just keep breathing. We had the major game update that introduced a whole slew of fixes across the board, some of which we'll talk about in a moment. And then we had Hamburg-Lübeck as well, which was not a strong release. The route itself is actually pretty good. In Matt's opinion, he's having the most fun playing that at the moment, but that's not the point. The point is, it was not released in fit state for our standards. It did not come up to scratch. And then at the same time, the update that came out had problems that should have been spotted. Both of them had problems that should have been spotted. Glaring stuff. If you encounter something within the first 10 minutes of playing it, then something somewhere was missed. And the first question is a relatively straightforward one: is what happened? And the answer is, we don't know. We don't know how these got missed. Yeah, that's not good. So we do have an internal investigation going on as to why these things were missed. Because look, we release a lot of stuff, and that includes updates. It includes, extra routes, extra locos, all that kind of stuff. And we, hold our hands up and say, look, it's not flawless. The stuff we release is not flawless. There are usually bits and pieces that aren't spot on in everything we release. It's always going to be this way. Until we get to the point where we've got an AI fixing absolutely everything in the background and missing nothing, and then they're making it photorealistic, that isn't photorealistic to the real world, but photorealistic to how you photorealistic to the real world, but photorealistic to how you individually it should be in your brain. It's never going to be 100% flawless. That said, there is a line under which we should never fall. There is a benchmark under which we should never fall, and certainly it falling over in 10 minutes or one thing that doesn't quite work in the first 10 minutes is not good enough. It is not one department that is to blame for this. If we fail, it is as a company. It is as a company that we fail, and it's as a company that we succeed. So the question becomes, what are we going to do about it? Well,
do we see the mini Adam down here?
Have you got, you've got a mini Adam in the corner. I could remove that if you want a mini Adam removing from the corner there, Adam. I can make that.
It's my conscience.
Look, I'll make you larger. There you go. There, see, you were putting me off my flow. I was in full flow there. There you go. Let's put you about there. There you go. That's rather spoiling the movie magic. Either way, the whole point of Adam's team is to improve the game. Now, I'm going to cover one thing off to start with, and that is the passenger information screens on Long Island Railroad. Now, we talked about those for a while. I mean, we're talking about it for months because this was kind of a big. This was a big hitter.
It was the first one. Yeah, it was the first route we were going to tackle.
It was important because when it comes down to it, this helps sell the feeling of immersion, the feeling of being there. It's a large step to, or rather, their absence is a big immersion breaker. Now, I mean, there are things that we could do that are a bigger impact on immersion. If we were to nail sound as well as we've ever done it, then the whole immersion factor goes up through the ceiling. But for things like scenery and getting passenger information screens right, getting it not quite right isn't quite good enough. Now, this is where you and me are to blame. This is both you and me, right? Because with that, I was very excited about the prospect of passenger information screens being added to Long Island Railroad, and at no point did I think to ask, it's going to look like the passenger information screens from Long Island Railroad. And at no point did you volunteer. It's not going to look exactly like the passenger information screens from Long Island Railroad. That was something that was missed. I didn't think to ask. Adam didn't think to volunteer it. And so it's unsurprising that people thought it's going to be a pretty good representation of passenger information screens on Long Island Railroad. This is a small issue, right? It's not a big thing. Why did they end up that way, Adam? Just out of interest.
So that was our goal.
Yeah.
We still do have the artwork, but as you, if you do watch the roadmap streams frequently, I set that we spend, the team spends a month working on a particular route, because there are a lot of routes that everyone's interested in, and we need to get round to every route in a timely fashion, at least the first pass. So yeah, I set the deadline that we would only spend a month on it, and we had this